So this is a pretty similar test as the first video, just kind of a color and sharpness test. And you know, both look pretty good in my opinion. And I did turn the internal sharpness and the internal contrast on the Nx1 all the way down and just did any kind of sharpening in post, and the Nx1 still looks sharper than the Ursa Mini. But you know, that's not the most important feature in my opinion, but I do like to have the option if I want to make something sharper. So here's a test a lot of people wanted to see. This is the rolling shutter test. And this is about what I expected. You know, the Nx1, you got that major jello cam. So it's unfortunate. And then yeah, check out the Ursa Mini. Solid. Just stays right there. Look at that. But I really don't whip my camera around a lot, so that's why it really wasn't on my mind to do that test with the first video. But it did make me think, hey, I'll do another test with some more natural movement. So that's this test here. Put it on a slider. Nice little slow sliding motion. This is more like the kind of movement I would have in a film, but you know, maybe if you're doing some kind of like, you know, just run and gun, just literally you're running around with the camera, then you might like the Ursa Mini better. But if you are running around with the Ursa Mini, I would definitely have some kind of support. I couldn't imagine running handheld with the Ursa Mini that long. It's heavy enough that your arms would get really tired really quick. So here's a little skin tone test. And the big thing I noticed from this was just the colors from the Nx1 just are a lot flatter than the Ursa Mini. Ursa Mini just so much more color depth in there. It looks just more 3D, like especially side by side. It's a lot more interesting of an image to me with the Ursa Mini. Then even the Nx1 with the Shogun, I could tell a little bit of improvement as far as color performance when I was working in post, but the end result, I really couldn't tell much of a difference between that and the Nx1. So Ursa Mini definitely wins. So here's more of a low light and skin tone test. And the Nx1 was actually surprisingly easy to work with. Much more so than that first test I did in the original video. There was some noise I could see, but it kind of cleaned up pretty easy. And I could tell I could clean it up a little more, but I thought it looked pretty good. Now the Ursa Mini, you can't really tell it here, but it was initially very noisy and I had to do a lot of noise cleaning. And it turned out to be a pretty good image, but you can kind of tell there was some noise cleaning because just everything looks overall a lot smoother. So just take note of that, but I still think it turned out pretty well. So yeah, I really can't call a winner as far as the low light, skin tone, and fireplace test. The only thing I can say from this little test here is, you know, sometimes it's hard to drink water on camera. You get so nervous, you know, you miss your mouth. I'd say that's like 75% of the glass I got in my mouth there, so I'm very happy with myself on that one. So now on to green screening. In this test, it wasn't terribly hard to pull the key on the Nx1, and it was actually a little bit harder on the Ursa Mini. And also, I want you to notice how the audio sounds. This is audio from the Ursa Mini, and listen how noisy it is. Cheers. Yeah, just so much audio noise. Really disappointing. And I was actually kind of disappointed. The Ursa Mini was a little bit harder to key out in this test. I can say from working a lot with the Ursa Mini and green screening as compared to the work I've done with the Nx1, I would definitely choose green screening with the Ursa Mini over the Nx1. Just a lot easier to work with just from my total experience. Ha! Ha! So one final note about green screening. I'm shooting this right now with the Nx1, and if you look in the background in the area that I'm trying to get rid of, you might see some kind of crazy, blocky, glitchy patterns that are coming and going. And that's really common when trying to do a key with the Nx1, and it's very challenging to work with. And because of that, I would not recommend using the Nx1 for any kind of serious green screen work. I would certainly look elsewhere. And another note about the Nx1, if you're going to be a video shooter when using this camera, you're definitely going to want to stock up on batteries because this thing just really eats through them. And a final note about the camera, but this is a good thing. I love the H.265 codec. I think it is amazing. I mean, you get this impressive video quality, the stuff that I've been showing you in this video, at just such a reduced file size. And just for comparison, all these video clips that I've been doing for this comparison video, they're all about the same length. However, the Nx1 clips are about 1/3 of the file size of these. And to me, that is just amazing. You're saving on hard drive space. You're then going to save on memory card space. And I mean, that's money savings right there. And just also just less harsh on your computer. And it's also saving you just in general because it just shoots on regular SD cards, so you're saving money there. And the body of the camera is really cheap, so you're saving money there as well. So all this kind of adds up to really make the NX1 to me being like the ultimate frugal filmmaker's camera. It's if you're the budget seeker and you want to put money elsewhere into lights and into audio equipment and stuff, then I would definitely say get the NX1 if you're someone that's really interested in just an all-around quality camera that gives you good video, shoots in 4K, has a good sensor size. Just all these things really add up and make it a very impressive camera to me. And if you're more interested in just straight up good picture quality and working with the image, a lot of latitude to work with, then you might want to lean towards the Ursa Mini instead. And I also want to mention, you've probably noticed in this video, I didn't do any kind of RAW recording. And in part, it's really because RAW is not that interesting to me, at least right now. It's just so cumbersome and taxing on your computer system and just in general harder to work with that it's not as important to me. I think you still get just the really good quality you can still get from ProRes and from H.265. And yes, I mean, RAW is RAW quality, but I think those other formats are just as formidable and just as pleasing to the eye to me. So I really didn't include RAW. I did shoot a couple of RAW shots, but actually most of them turned out kind of glitchy, and I'm not sure why. So that's another reason why I did not include them in this video. I wasn't sure if it was the Ursa Mini's fault or the media cards I was using for the camera or my computer. So I didn't want to taint anyone's idea of what kind of RAW that the Ursa Mini could shoot. So I did not include it in the video, but I'll include it in a little annotated link and send you to that video where you can see how the RAW stacks up to some of the ProRes shots that I was doing and some of the NX1 H.265 shots.